Welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV. I'm your host, Dame Lillian Walker. Can you hear me okay, Heather?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly well. Okay, my microphone is giving me a little bit of a problem here, but I think we got it squared away. Fantastic. Well, welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV, and I'm your host, Dame Lillian Walker, and with us today we have this wonderful, miraculous story of alchemy and of transformation, and Heather has an amazing story that I'm so excited to be able to share with you all here on both YouTube as well as the web and Facebook and all the different social media platforms. So Heather, thank you for joining us from across the Atlantic Ocean. You're in the United Kingdom, are you not?
I am. I'm in Yorkshire, in
You are.
England, on the
So
coast.
on the coast. Oh my goodness. So we're literally coast to coast. Yorkshire, the coast to Huntington Beach. So this is absolutely wonderful. Well, Heather is a fellow Genius Mystic Healer. She is a Dr. Joe Advanced student. And so before we get started, Heather, can you tell us a little bit about where were you born? Where did you grow up? Do you come from a family of one or a family of 10? Tell us just a little bit about yourself before we dive in deep into this miraculous story.
Well, I was born in Portsmouth, which is the very south of England.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was born into a military family. And I have six brothers.
Six brothers. Wow. Big family. Okay.
Um, we moved around a lot because of, my dad being in the military. So it was quite an eventful childhood. My mum remarried, so four of my brothers, we're all from my mum, but four of my brothers are to my stepdad, and two of my brothers are to my dad. So
Okay, wonderful. Well, I know that I've actually been to Portsmouth, and it's a lovely little coastal town as well, and rich, very rich in history. And so, what a beautiful area of the world for you to be born and to, be able to experience. So, and there's obviously a lot of testosterone in the family because it sounds like you were the princess amongst, flanked by six, brawling
it,
men.
it was quite the opposite, I'd say, because I was the second eldest. And when my mum remarried, we were raised as Mormons, which isn't my practice faith, but it's very patriarchal and the women do the work. So I did a lot of raising, my brothers, a lot of housework. I felt more like Cinderella than princess.
Ah, I can,
but
I can, I can feel it.
but there were still blessings in it. I'd never minded,
Yeah.
having very hands-on with my brothers because they're all gorgeous little peeps. Well, not so little now. They are all huge now. Now I would say it is more like what you just said. I do feel more like that now.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. So then tell us, fast forward the videotape and the motion picture screen of your life, and what was the circumstance? What was the challenge, or what was the issue that brought you to Dr. Joe's work?
Well, I had severe trauma all my life,
Okay.
and I really made the correlation to my physical health. I hadn't made that correlation. I knew about my depression. I knew that was all related to my trauma. But I've always been very spiritual. I've always had psychic gifts, so that was a good opening. But then I wanted to discover health because I'd never stopped being in tune with spirit, but I wasn't in tune with what it was to nurture your own mind, what it was to nurture you, to love yourself. I started studying with Dr. Bruce Lipton, Bruce Lipton, PhD. I think that was my first sort of more getting into the science of things. I was studying laws of attraction with Esther Hicks. I was already getting down that road of discovering that, I was part of Mind Valley, watched Lewis Howes. I was already, spiritual, then wanting self-improvement. In my background, I worked with women in domestic violence as a counsellor. I was very up there with the Zero Tolerance campaign. I was the chairwoman in my area to start off. And so I was very out there, very active in the community. I was a very busy person. I didn't tend to have one or two things on the go, as well as having 5 kids. I also...
Wow.
I was very...
You did have a lot going on.
Yeah, no, I did.
Wow. Okay, so 5 kids, and you've had always this psychic, spiritual connection. You've always been very attuned and mindful of that aspect of yourself, not in denial of it. So you've been very open to feeling, sensing, knowing that there's communication beyond the 3D realm. So that's a fascinating path, luckily, that you didn't have to lose it to then try and regain it back. So oh my gosh, 5 kids. So you come from a family of 6 brothers plus yourself. Now you have 5 children of your own. You have, obviously, with the 5 kids, you're having to overcome, the feelings of depression and trauma, and I'm sure all sorts of other life circumstances that hit us unexpectedly, which just kind of compounds everything and kind of doesn't make it feel better, makes it feel worse until we figure out how to, release all of that. So did you have any kind of a big, Dr. Jill always talks about how, it's better to not have to wait until you have a major crisis before you finally start to come to do this work. Some of us that, we got to get hit by buses, for us to do that. Not everybody has that experience. Sometimes there are other type of things, maybe to greater or even lesser degrees. So I'm kind of curious. Tell us a little bit about what it was like, as you're, super busy mother with 5. You're outnumbered 3 to 1, you and your spouse. So that must have been challenging.
Correct you on there. I had 5 children, but one of the catalysts for a lot of my pain is I lost my first child, cot death. And so that was, really, I had already experienced quite a lot of trauma as a child, but obviously losing your first child, cot death, it was a hard one, but it also kept me close to spirit.
Yeah, because you're asking questions. I'm very heartfelt for you, because I lost my first one. I have 3 kids, but I lost the first one, and that's something that you get to cope with it, with it better over time, and you understand that there's a greater purpose or meaning, and that soul has its own journey, and you eventually can, hopefully, I was able to reconcile with that, but I know that that's a very big pain point for a lot of people. So tell us a little bit more about that, and ultimately, what's most important to you about that, because I think there's a message here for women, any woman, any father who has been in a position where they've lost a child at any point, it doesn't matter whether if it was in utero, if it was right after they were born, if it was when they were 10, it's painful.
Yeah, it is a very hard thing to, and if you've lost a child too, that it's something like it's something that you learn to live with. You reconcile it. You learn to adapt. Still be grateful for the experience. felt that was very important to be grateful for it.
Yeah.
I my pregnancy, that was an earlier one. Is the the music's quite loud my end.
Oh, was it? Okay. And it just turned off, so I'm hoping that it'll be better for both.
So yeah, that that was obviously delicate and something that I had to navigate through. But I did, it didn't stop me. I went straight back into work. 5 weeks after, I'd lost him, I was straight back into work. I had 3 jobs again. I did tend to need something to throw my focus into. But, like I say, I navigated it and I kept on going and until I came to a bit of a halt.
So was it like a slow brew kind of thing that over time you started realizing that you're having a weight, from this particular trauma as well as the others, or did it all of a
I,
sudden
I
something
kept
happened that you snapped or?
I no, it wasn't like that. What I was doing is I was just, because I'd had trauma from a very young age. I kind of accepted that that was kind of part of life, and so it would be trauma, you know, big pants up, get yourself together, whitewash over it, move on. But it catches up on with you, at some stage. If you keep on doing that, you're not. I didn't realize all the subconscious, problems it was causing me, and obviously I didn't know anything about our energy body and our chakras, and I didn't know any of that sort of thing because that was beyond my understanding. I did understand spirit, I could connect with spirit very easily, but I didn't know the science of spirituality as I do now.
Yeah. So how did that come into your awareness where you started to realize and recognize and really understand that there was something greater going on here and that you could actually, solve this and heal these things that have been festering there for a very long time?
Well, I had been studying with Marissa Peer. I'd been studying an awful lot, but when I came across Joe Dispenza, when he talked about, being able to visually see that, our energy, our, the state of the brain, when he could actually talk about everything that I already believed was in there, it just unlocked the door for me. And then once that, it's when other people are applying this, and it doesn't matter who they are or what they are or what condition they're in, I knew that's when I got my, the bit between my teeth, so to say, to think, if other people can do it, I'll do it. And it did come at a really catalytic point because my mum had just died. And then my stepdad had just died. And then I nearly died. So the reason that I nearly passed away was unrelated to my cancer, although I had already had several tumours removed.
If you don't mind my asking, when did you first get diagnosed with the cancer?
I started with cancer about just over 9 years ago, probably approaching 10. But it was just over 8 years ago that I had my first surgery, and I've had 8 tumours removed. But the surgery where I nearly passed away was for a different reason. That was to do with my gut. I'd had 3 cesarean. I'd had 2 normal births and 3 cesareans. And I'd had surgery go wrong. And what was happening was my intestines kept filtering out through a hernia, through a hole. But I would then, I would lose, I'd sort of not eat very much. And then my muscles, I was still trying to dance and belly dance and all kinds of activities, which would strengthen it up again. And then the first bit of bloating, then it would be out again. And I carried on like that for a number of years, undiagnosed. I was just getting iller and iller, and I became practically bedbound for long periods of time.
So totally unrelated to the cancer, you had this separate thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a double whammy.
Yeah, no, it was excruciating. And I have a mesh. It was a 4-inch diameter hole. That's how big the hole had got, where my insides were just filtering out. But I was so ill and laid down all the time. So when I was being examined, they were saying, well, it must be the colitis, because I was having ulcerations in my black bowel. I was bleeding. So that I think that they thought that it was to do with that. And it's only when it got that the bleeding was really bad, that they thought that my cancer had gone to my bowel. And so that was the investigation. It turned out, no, it wasn't. It was just a massive hernia. And that needed to be put down. And that's when I nearly died, was because I got septicemia after the surgery.
Gosh. Well, so you had a near-death experience then, and
it was wild. I watched 3 people die that week around me, but something inside me knew that although I was very close to the edge and I could feel myself, I'd had out-of-body experiences before, but I could feel myself just coming in and out of my body, but just in a very relaxed, surrendering way. And everywhere I looked, everything was yellow. It was as if I had
interesting.
Like this toffee sweets that you can get like a Werther's Original, and you look through the cellophane bit, it just looked like everything was yellow. And I was totally spaced out, obviously, because I was not quite here, not quite there. Wow. But I still home in the pandemic and still did this work and still healed myself.
So this happened during the pandemic?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So it's compounded with the stress of the pandemic and all the craziness that's going on.
Like my mum died, my stepdad died, I nearly died. My relationship had ended just before my mum died. And then we were in lockdown. So nothing and I had back-to-back surgeries on tumours this, in this summer gone in 2021. And I had another tumour come up at the beginning of October, and I dissolved it at the end of October. And not only did I do that, Lillian, I cured myself of decades of depression, seasonal affective disorder. I've gone from 18 monthly prescriptions to 5. My oncology, they have kept cancelling the appointments. They said, right, you're down for more surgery. I sent them photos of the last tumour and with my doctor, and they put it off, and I'm supposed to be going next week, and it's nothing there. I've got photographic evidence.
So wait a minute. So you had depression, you had back-to-back surgeries for tumors to be removed. You had 18 prescriptions, which you were able to effectively bring down to 5 prescriptions. You had seasonal, what? I didn't catch what you said. Seasonal something?
Seasonal affective disorder, because of living in the northern hemisphere and lack of light, for
Oh,
nearly 30 years, but they call it SAD.
sad.
Um,
Oh, okay. So that's a
and
mitochondrial
I had that.
dysregulation. So your obviously your sleep cycle was off because that throws off your serotonin and your melatonin levels.
Yeah,
It's like it's a domino effect of it affects your entire body. Yeah, that's pretty severe actually.
I was completely debilitated. I could sleep up to 16 hours a day. I
Oh
had
my gosh.
periods of time over the last 20 years where I had to have a carer every day to support me with my health needs. I had a mobility scooter, I got a stair lift. Yeah, what else have I conquered?
So you basically, with your being able to self-heal yourself through the guided meditations and Dr. Joe's work,
Yeah,
you in effect rolled back the hands of time 25 years
yeah,
before,
yeah,
cleaned the slate of all sorts of
yeah,
things, wiped out the tumors, dissolved them, dissolved the depression, dissolved the trauma,
yeah,
dissolved the need for all but 5 out of 18 meds, the seasonal, the SAD, mitochondrial dysfunction that was creating all sorts of other things. You really set back, rejuvenated yourself, revitalized yourself, and brought yourself back to being literally 25 years younger and in a healthier, happier, and probably even better than you were 25 years ago.
yeah,
So
absolutely. 10 times better because I've got a healthy mind.
you've healthy
Now
mind and body.
now I can honor and love myself. Before, I thought love was just something that you gave to other people. Always been a totally loving, giving person, but had no concept of that. Well, you should be doing that for yourself.
Yourself. Well, and your
Yeah,
skin is glowing, your face
yeah,
is like picture perfect. So this is really quite remarkable because many people say it's like, oh, I can't get to a Dr. Joe event. It's like like people in Australia who are on lockdown as well, and we have 198 countries, and a great number of them have lockdowns where people literally cannot leave their towns or cannot leave their country or their states or provinces or prefectures. And some of them, that is even more depressing because they're locked down in multiple ways at a time that they need the most, to be able to tune in and tap into this body of knowledge. And the truth of the
I
matter
could,
is, go ahead.
I, I couldn't even leave the house, let alone leave
And
for an
you
event.
still did it. You still
And
succeeded.
I did it, Lillian, all on my own. I did not have any mentor supporting me through it. I did it by my own volition, by my own studying, by my own willpower, knowing knowing that if I could do it, that I could help other people. And I am a very determined woman. And I thought if I can do this, then my knowledge can go on. I can break cycles, can bring awareness. Um, Obviously, there was more into it than just the meditation because I had all done the foundation of learning. But I still don't think that if I'd come across Dr. Joe Dispenza and his demeanor, the way that he ramps, especially as the years have gone on from when I first discovered him, he's got more enthusiastic. He knows the impact that he's making. He really brings it to the table. And that is what drives you,
Yeah.
because you know that you're in it for you. I mean, part of me was thinking, also I'm doing it for him. He doesn't know, obviously, he doesn't know anything about me, but I still am somebody that can validate, yes, this works. It works for definite because I am living proof of it.
Yes, he's great about telling us that science is a contemporary language of mysticism. And I got to honor you because you were courageous enough to make a decision. You
Yeah,
decided, you know what? Whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's the seasonal affective disorder, the SAD disease, whether it's the 8 cancerous tumors, whatever is presenting itself that's putting you in a place where you have to take, 18 different meds for all these different symptoms, you're like, this is not going to take me, and then to have that whole gut infection with the hernia and everything where you almost died of septicemia and the complications from that. And you're like, nope, this is not going to take me. This is here for some whatever other reason, but it's not going to take me. And you chose to heal. You could have, when you were out coming in and out of your body and seeing everything through that yellow, where everything looked yellow, that you described as almost like you were looking through like a yellow cellophane, and you clearly were aware. You recognized that you were in and out of the body, and that you were very easily, you could have said, forget it, I'm done. And you could have left, and that would have been your choice. Instead, your choice was, oh, I'm balancing between two worlds. I could either stay or I can go. And not only am I going to stay, but I'm going to heal this. You
yeah.
chose
It
healing.
was
It
it
was a
was a
choice.
it was a it was a conscious decision. I had already become aware of my conscious thoughts, so I was already on the road to learning how to deprogram myself. And I do have, my dad, I was born into SAS family.
Okay.
And so, I obviously have got that grit in me and determination, even though I'm just a little tiny woman, a mother and a mima, and I still know I challenge accepted. I am going to not whitewash any trauma that comes up. I am going to accept it. I'm going to go through the feelings. I'm going to surrender out of the other side, knowing that everything, and I mean everything that I've ever been through, serves me, because at the end of it, I've got something to give that really is quite remarkable, because it's so multifaceted. And the catalogue of my health conditions that have hampered me from being 3 months old, I still got a bit more unraveling. Just with I had asthma, hay fever, eczema chronically, but my skin is 90% better. My asthma is about 70% better, and my allergies, because of diet and eliminating things that I'm coming across that's triggering it, I'd say that that's probably about 50% better. So I still have a little way to go,
A
Lillian.
little. Yeah, but all
Just,
the big things are
just a
done.
little.
So I tell people, happiness is progress. When you are,
Yeah.
because there's no such thing as things being completely static and locked in. So
No.
either you're slipping back and things are getting worse, or you're moving forward towards your target, towards your goal, towards your dream. And as long as you're getting closer and closer and making progress, happiness is progress, recognizing that you're moving forward and you're getting towards that goal. And oh my gosh, it's so monumental that you were able to dissolve and to heal those 8 tumors, to go from 18 to 5. That's massive progress in a relatively short period of time. So, and I love what you said, that everything serves me. Everything that you've experienced, all the trauma, all the pain, lots of pain, lots of suffering, everything serves you and that you've got something to share. Oh boy, do you ever have something to share, girl, because you can relate to so many people with just, you have a whole potpourri of different experiences and different conditions that people will go, okay, they didn't have 8 tumors, they didn't have cancer, but maybe they're battling asthma, like really, you could die from asthma. Maybe they're dealing with really severe eczema that's painful, that's been plaguing them since childhood. Any one of the things that you've shared here is something that you now can have empathy and sympathy with others, and it's a point where you can connect with others and they're like, okay, I can relate to that she's talking about. And if she could do it and then lose her mother, lose her stepfather, just lost a relationship on top of everything, and she's got 5 kids of which she lost 1, and it's like most people would go, oh my gosh. It's like, can things get any worse? Which is the wrong question to ask, because when you ask, oh my gosh, can things get any worse? Oh yeah, let's look for more things that are gonna validate that, and your brain goes looking for things and you get more worse stuff. So it's like, no, okay, I'm lucky and highly favored that things are just getting better and better. Once you hit rock bottom, you can't really go any further down. So now you can just look up and say, okay, I'm done with all the crap, all the things that don't feel good. Now I can start to move in the direction of things that better serve me. And I'm choosing to heal. You've identified who your teacher and your guide is going to be, Dr. Joe. And there's so much evidence, we have the embodiment of truth with so many people who have, like yourself, they never went to a Dr. Joe event and they're still able to heal just by reading the books, learning, understanding, assigning a meaning to it, going, wow, there's actually scientific evidence to back this up. And then when you see all the people who are having they're sharing their stories of transformation, their testimonials of healing, some far worse, some far less, but all of them valid and true. And you see the before and after. Well, if they can do it, you can too. Now it's like, okay, how did they do it? And Dr. Joe says there's no such thing as a bad meditation. So you just have to start today. You can get off this broadcast. I have a 5-minute meditation. It's 5 minutes, 15 seconds for people who have never meditated before. And it's based on the Becoming Supernatural book that Dr. Joe talks about in his book there. And then I mean, did you go first onto YouTube and start to do the YouTube videos, meditations, and then go to his site? How did you go about doing it?
I went on YouTube and then onto the site. But I'd say that Dr. Joe's was the most ramped up, but meditation became a practice thing, quiet moments all the time, putting the kettle off, switch off the mind, listen to the kettle, chopping the vegetables, shut the mind off, listen to the fridge hum, washing up, shut the mind off, listen to the boiler hum. Look, but grateful for everything. That is my favorite. That is my favorite flower. That is my favorite carpet. That is my favorite tree. Just gratitude for everything.
Yeah. So I love that you took your meditation into your living everyday life. It wasn't just the time you were meditating.
No.
So you didn't go back to your old conditioning. No, now you're like, okay, I'm going to make everything. You said everything serves me. I got to tell you, you're probably going to write a book that's called Everything Serves Me, because you said, I turned the kettle on and now you're being mindful to the sound of the boiling water in the kettle, the sound that was being made in your ambience. And that was a living, walking meditation. And then you said, then you heard you're not going to whatever your ego is trying to do to keep you back to your familiar past. No, then next, and then you were grateful. And you held in appreciation the sound of the boiling water. That means you're getting closer to having that cup of delicious tea. And then you're hearing the hum of your refrigerator, you said. Who does that? Heather does that, and so can you. Hearing the hum of your fridge and hearing the birds chirp and feel, like you said, you saw the beautiful flower in your house and you're like, I love that beautiful flower. You're appreciating with a grateful, loving heart the color, the texture, the shape of that beautiful flower. You could have had that flower absent, but no, the flower was present. And so you're appreciating what you do have, which opens your heart to receive more, including healing. And obviously, you have, in effect, changed your chemistry because that feels better instead of feeling bad about, oh, I'm noticing this pain. And the more you notice the pain, the more the pain grows. Like, no, now because you're bathing your body with endorphins and this positive feeling, guess what? That pain starts to go away, which is actually evidence of the healing also taking place.
Yeah. Well, when I get or have a pain anywhere, I just say, oh, that's the place I need to love it the most. I'm going to send it some love. What can we think of? I love my crystals. So, what can we have that's loving and makes it feel loved? And I start to use the pain as it's just an opportunity to express more love to my body. It's just another excuse to think of something I'd like to put in my body, something, whether it's, fresh fruit, or whether it's I want to have a nice salt bath, or whether I want to have, use my essential oils. What do I want to do that's going to lovingly express the fact that I've noticed this pain, but I'm dissolving it with my love because that's what it deserves.
So this is such a beautiful expression what you've just said because you're showing us how you actually accepted loving yourself. You were doing loving things for you. You were not depressing or repressing or denying that you had the pain. You're like, "Oh, I've got a pain here. Oh, let me do something to send love in that area because that area needs loving." So you're acknowledging that it's there. You're like, I'm going to send love there. I'm going to do, my salt bath. I'm going to pamper myself to make myself feel better with the essential oils. I'm going to hold my crystals, which as we speak, I have this selenite crystal, that's one of my self-love things that my sister from another mister. Because they do have healing properties that are scientifically proven. Some people think it's
Yeah.
ooey, airy magic, but no, we have Swiss watches. A lot of watches and a lot of computer devices actually have diamonds and other like quartz crystal that can be programmed with love or with a certain intelligence. And so we're just making use of that. Computers have electromagnetic frequencies, which is why I have the selenite
Yeah.
in front of my computer because I want the protection. I don't want the EMFs on me. It goes to the crystal. The crystal's taking care of me. So this is so beautiful because you're not denying that negative emotion. You're going, oh, that's my red flags that I need to send love and appreciation and gratitude to this body part. And then there was recently a German study that I became aware of that I normally don't read research and scientific papers on my channel, but this one was so powerful. I thought, you know what, I need to share this. It was only 7 pages long. And it talks
Yeah.
about how the average person, when you're looking at your heart center, your heart normally emits 20 photons of light. They actually have a device that can measure 1 photon at a time. And a photon is 1 light unit of energy. And so the average person emits 20 photons of light. But if you know how to get yourself into heart and brain coherence the way you and I do, because
Yeah.
that's what Dr. Joe teaches us to do with the
Yeah.
meditations, that
Yeah.
now from 20 photons of light, you go to 100,000 photons of light is what they actually have measured. And in doing so now, that's why the coherence healings work, whether you do it on yourself or you do it on somebody else, or if you have a circle of 8 or more people that are having somebody as a subject healing and you're all in a heart and brain coherence manner, now you have hundreds of thousands of photons of light that are going to that person's heart, and then that's what heals them head to toe.
I
So
can
you're
tell. energy. I can
Yes.
channel it because I can feel it. Start to feel like a TENS machine. I tingle from head to toe, and other people can see colours coming off my hands.
And your
So
aura.
I know that am embodying it.
Mm.
When I go into the quantum field, when I've connected with that, I start to fizz. And I get excited.
Great
Um,
energy feeling.
and I know that I was destined to be a healer. I've always been in that sort of way, but I never knew that I could channel it, that people could feel it, touch my fingertips and they can feel the energies, when nurses have come to sort my wounds out. It's okay, I'm doing it. And I'm a healer, I'm doing crystal healing, and they can feel the energy
Yeah.
from fingertips, and that's strangers.
It is. It is. It is. But you know what? You've been a healer in previous
Yeah,
life. This is not
I
your
know.
first go around.
No, I know. I have been through the shaman experience with Alberto Vivado through the same period, and I remember all my lifetimes I've taken my consciousness back to 0 point, where I have no body, I have no needs, there's nobody there. I just feel I feel like I'm almost encased in a crystalline structure. I have visuals, I see geometric spinning shapes, but there's nothing else there. And I remember many lifetimes now, and they mostly are connected to the temples. I am a temple worker, not in all of them, but I work around that, so it's activated. It's activated all that. It has, I've been a tarot reader for over 30 years, but
Oh, so you're very attuned to the energies.
yeah, I've always been that way. Always been that way. I'm quite telepathic with my kids. Yeah, no, I've always been that way. But since doing this, since doing the healing on myself, my spirituality is way off the scale that it ever was
It's
before.
magnified.
Oh, massively,
Yeah.
massively.
So this is really exciting and wonderful information because we all need somebody. No one is an island unto themselves. So you needed Dr. Joe. I needed Dr. Joe. Some people also need people in between, Dr. Joe and themselves because you can't reach Dr. Joe on a one-on-one. You definitely can reach, listen and watch his YouTube videos from all the many, many interviews that people do with him, and also from his YouTube channel, which I encourage people every day, just get on there and check out the stories of body and mind transformation that they have there that are really quite exquisite, quite encouraging. There are things that you will learn from the different people that share their stories, just like you. You have
I
that
don't,
distinction of,
I don't think that anybody can't learn something from it and gain something from it, no matter, even if they don't feel that they've got any spiritual gift. It will certainly, just learning
absolutely.
to love
To
yourself,
feel.
and just be, if you just start being aware of your thoughts, start practicing
Yeah.
loving yourself and appreciating yourself like you would the most treasured, lovable person that you have ever loved. Start treating
Absolutely.
yourself with the same honor,
Yeah.
because if we fill ourselves up, we got more to give, Lillian. And that has always been it used to be the thing I used to beat myself up about, was the fact, why can't I do more? Why can't I do more for my kids, do more for my grandchildren? Why haven't I got as much to offer as some other people? And it's, well, every avenue.
Unworthiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even someone who's listening or watching to this broadcast, if you've always wondered, it's like, you know what? How do you do self-love? How do you open your heart? How do I live my life with an open heart? How do I learn that act of self-love? I don't even really know what it means. I'm even maybe questioning what love means as just a general thing. You know what? This work will teach you that and so much more. And I want to encourage people, who are watching this. Is there a way for, I know that we connected through Facebook, and I want to
Yeah,
show people here your Facebook profile so that they see you there. We'll go
thank
ahead
you.
and put your Facebook link in the description of this show so that people can click on that Facebook link and then go find you. It's Heather Newham. And but you are open to guiding people and connecting with them and
Yeah,
helping them heal and
I,
facilitating that process so that they can move towards happiness and wholeness.
I am at the moment on Facebook doing mentoring because I'm going to start. I'm going to go into business at the end of March, so that I can start teaching what I've learned, because I learned from so many different doctors and so many different people. What are all the common threads between them? What are the tools that work for the masses without contradiction? What it on their hymn sheets are they all singing? What are they saying? Not just, I've got my spiritual side, but this is science, this is health. I'm talking about vibrational healing, chakra healing, color therapy. I'm talking about encompassing so that there's a different flavor for anybody, and to make it simple, to make things as least complicated, that they can pick their little fruits, they can pick their little tools.
That work
But
for them.
meditation's got to be the main thing. And once you can get them to embrace that, if they are capable of loving a puppy, if they're capable of loving a child, if they're capable of loving a bird, they are capable of loving themselves. And that is the key to the lock. Open the heart, get it all working, get that beautiful energy flowing in there. And I am so loving as a person, and I am so non-judgmental as well. I don't care what's brought somebody to their pain. Let's sit with it, and let's open our hearts, and let's invite love in, and let's find out what tools are going to work for you. That's what I want to do. That is my absolute dream.
What tools are going to work for you? Oh, that's so beautiful. Everything serves you. Absolutely. So, Heather, this has been absolutely just a divine appointment. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So glad that we connected through that Facebook group. And I'm so glad that you began to share your story there, which is what led us to invite you to come here today to share your beautiful story of alchemy, where you really were able to metaphysically change yourself. You're like a completely different person now, and
Yeah,
you are healed. You're radiant, you're beautiful.
thank
I
you.
just you're so exquisite. So thank you, Heather, for honoring us here today. And you're quite welcome. Stay nice and warm in the UK there in Yorkshire. And we just love you, and saying hi to all our friends and gems across the world who are watching this. And until we see each other again, I say, I love you and ciao for now.
Bye, darling. Love you too. Bye.